Well, a very good afternoon to you, and a warm welcome to the first cup final of this new season. It's the Scotland League Cup final. Hampden Park, as you've seen from our opening pictures, is as usual resplendent. A lot of fans there from Aberdeen, a lot from the east of Scotland as well. Well, who's going to win the Scotland League Cup? We'll have to wait and find out. We're bringing you, of course, live the whole of this afternoon's match exclusively. Our match commentator will be Jock Brown, and joining him in our commentary position will be Ian St John. With me here in the Scott Sports studio, monitoring the match, it's a welcome back to Billy McNeil. Billy, nice to see you back in Scotland again. A very nice occasion for all of us, I think, today. Could I ask you, first of all, who you think the key men might be in this afternoon's match, Billy?
Well, I think it's an intriguing final in many ways, Arthur, because the obvious thing to say is that Aberdeen hold the bulk of the aces, and they're very, very fortunate, I think, in having Willie Miller and Alec McLeish at the back, because I think that will be a sound basis in which they can say that they'll control the game. But having said that, I think the stage is almost set for an upset in many, many ways. You've got a Hibs team, a combination of older players and some fresh youngsters, and if they can settle quickly, they might just cause an upset or two, you know.
Mm-hmm. It's a great occasion for John Blackley, and I think the teams are actually coming out now at Hampden Park. We might take a look at that. One wonders, as a manager, what John will be thinking about, because there's so much at stake here, Billy. There's a possibility of a place in Europe, not just a couple of medals for boys who might never get to Hampden again. But it's an important occasion for John Blackley. I wonder how he might be talking to his players. What do you think his attitude to this build-up will be?
Well, I hope for John's sake that his attitude's been an almost carefree one, because he's got a lot of youngsters there, and youngsters can do one of two things. They can either respond to the occasion or they can freeze entirely. And I hope he's had a relaxed atmosphere and a relaxed preparation to it. And if he's been relaxed in the dressing room, then I think he's got a chance that will carry on to his players. There's no doubt that they're aware of the importance of the situation. They're dealing with a team who are involved in most honours when they're given out. They've been in the big occasions so often that it's almost second nature to them. Almost similar to that famous League Cup final years ago when Partick Thistle beat Celtic in many, many ways. You've got a real underdog situation. If the underdog can rise and can relax and play a bit, then who knows what may happen. But I think he'll be worried in the early stages that his youngsters are not overawed by the occasion.
I was going to say that. Alec Ferguson, who's never won the League Cup with Aberdeen, has won just about everything else and has been very successful with them. Again, he might be wondering if, will this be my bogey? Will I be under a bit of pressure here to win it?
Well, that's right. I think possibly you might just find that knowing Fergie and he'll feel it's very, very important to him, and you might just, you could almost forgive Aberdeen for thinking it's very, very important, and it might just cause an upset for them. As I say, if Hibs can go and relax a bit and can go and play in a carefree attitude, they might just cause enough problems to make it very, very difficult for Aberdeen.
Right. Well, it looks as if the crowd are building up nicely there. You just see the VIPs meeting the various teams. Ian Gillespie, the president of the Scottish League, was going through there. And John McKenzie, the managing director of Scotland, who are, of course, sponsoring today's cup final. I think we did have a look at the crowds there just in our opening pictures. And, Billy, I think you were impressed with the size of the crowds that had come down for the match. Look at that. That really looks good, doesn't it?
Well, Aberdeen they've gained in support through the years, haven't they? Their success has meant that an awful lot more people are interested in them. They've got a fervent support, and it's a good support. But it's nice to see so many people from Hibernian. Hibs have always been one of my favourite teams, Arthur, and they've had scant success in recent years. And for me, I could make a case out for either team winning, but I wouldn't be upset if Hibs did it.
Well, there's the East of Scotland contingent. The stage is set for what promises to be a marvellous match. Billy and I will catch up with you again at half-time. But in the meantime, let's go over now live to Hampden Park to wish good afternoon to our match commentator, Jock Brown.
Good afternoon, Arthur. Welcome to Hampden. A marvellous setting indeed this afternoon, with a very healthy crowd inside the stadium. Approximately 35,000, I would say, at the moment. Perhaps even a little more. A huge contingent from Aberdeen, obviously. But perhaps even more significant is the huge numbers who've come through from Edinburgh. So Hibs will certainly not be without a great deal of support. Conditions are absolutely ideal. It's a crisp, perfect afternoon for football, and the atmosphere, as I say, really could not be better. The big news before the match, of course, was the team selection in each camp. And the Aberdeen side, there it is. There's no place in the starting lineup for Peter Weir or for Jim Bett. Although Eric Black is fit and he's wearing a number 7 jersey. And Peter Weir did enough in Geneva on Wednesday night to persuade Alec Ferguson that he's worth a place on the bench. And the Hibs line up with one significant omission in the Hibs team, and that of course is their centre-half Gordon Ray, who's suspended and he's missed out. Mark Fulton takes his place wearing a number 5, but that apart, that's a full-strength Hibs line-up, and one which is growing in confidence as the weeks go by, with Mark Fulton being joined at centre-back by young Gordon Hunter, and of course the major force up front, partnership of Steve Cowan and Gordon Jury. So the Hibs contingent on the terraces, giving a warm welcome to their favourites. And the team selection, of course, for Aberdeen, which meant most, I think, to Alec Ferguson, the fact that he was able to bring in Eric Black. There he is, he's wearing number 7. He had a difficult groin injury to shake off, and he made a superb recovery over the last few days to earn his place in the side. And in goal, of course, for Aberdeen, Jim Leighton, the Scotland keeper. Ian St John beside me. Ian, Jim Leighton, of course, an important man for Aberdeen this afternoon.
Well, I think both keepers are very important. Leighton, of course, has got the experience in a very experienced Aberdeen side. And Alan Ruff, of course, in goal there for the Hibs. A lot will depend on him to guide the young boys in front of him.
Well, Steve Cowan and Gordon Jury get the match underway. Tremendous noise around the stadium as Hibs go forward and involve Jim Leighton right at the start. And one significant aspect of the Aberdeen side right at the start is that Brian Mitchell, despite wearing number 3, is playing at right back, and Stuart McKimmie, wearing number 2, is at left back. Indeed, even more significant perhaps is the fact that Aberdeen have started with 3 centre-backs. They've brought Neil Cooper back to join Alec McLeish in a marking role with Willie Miller sweeping, which means, of course, that Mitchell and McKimmie will be invited to push forward into midfield to support Billy Stark and Neil Simpson. For the first free kick of the match goes to Hibs. Down goes Gordon Jury. Neil Cooper, his opposing number 10, but back in a defensive role for Aberdeen. Alan Snedden will take the free kick for Hibs. And a good start for Hibs obviously is vital. So many young players on the side. A good header down, but it's played away again by Simpson. McDougall now to Hewitt, and Aberdeen beginning to flow into attack. There's Billy Stark, Hewitt sprinting forward, and the covering player is young Gordon Hunter, 18-year-old centre-back for Hibs.
I've heard quite a lot about young Hunter, as a matter of fact. Jock, you know, they tell me that he's like a young Gordon McQueen centre-back, so obviously the boys up here in Scotland have high hopes for him.
Yes, Gordon Hunter, a very fine young player indeed. And there's Mark Fulton getting an early touch. Experienced player after several years at Love Street for St Mirren. Ian Munro, the senior man in the field, 34 years old, the Hibs captain. The flag stays down. Chance on for Steve Cowan, looking for support in the middle. Ali Brazil arrives, and that was fine play by Stuart McKimmie for Aberdeen. The Aberdeen defence caught square for a second, and that could have been costly for them as Cowan broke on the left. Well, the former Aberdeen player, Steve Cowan, breaking free on the left, racing in, looking for support inside. The man he spotted was Ali Brazil, but that's a great defensive header from Stuart McKimmie. A flying header from Ian Munro, played out by Ali Brazil. Well, Ian, the Aberdeen defence caught a bit square on that occasion.
Well, they were caught square. In fact, I thought he may just have been a slightly offside, but he certainly got away from him, and only an inch away from an opening goal.
That's picked up by McBride for Hibs. Cooper happy to escort that back towards the byline. Jury putting him under pressure though. Not a good ball forward from Cooper. It's picked up by Alan Snedden. Hunter looking for Jury, the head flick. Chisholm battling hard for Hibs, but it's won by Neil Cooper. And Willie Miller sends a long ball forward. A good leap by Fulton above his former colleague at St Mirren, Frank McDougall. Hewitt forcing his way inside. Stetton's tackle. Here's Miller. McDougall's layoff. He was tackled from the back by Fulton, and the free kick's been given to Aberdeen. So a chance for Aberdeen to display one of their set pieces from the edge of the box. Too far out, I fancy, for a direct shot at goal, especially against Alan Rough. John Hewitt and Willie Miller are over the ball. It's putting up a four-man wall with Miller. Simpson plays it wide for McLeish. Now Hewitt. Miller staying up with the Aberdeen attack. Good clearance from Fulton. Miller and Simpson trying to burst through the middle. And the ball has gone out for a throw on the far side. Well, some very good, encouraging signs early in the match that both sides are determined to get forward whenever they can. Willie Miller certainly prompting from the back, getting into midfield as often as he can. Neil Simpson. Black for Simpson. Is blocked by Fulton. Here's Monroe for Hibs. Retaining possession, but forced to play it back for Fulton. Stark leaves it, and Miller mops up at the back for Aberdeen. Ali Brazil's header. Steve Cowan got the touch in front of Cooper. But Cowan and Jury being marked by Cooper and McLeish. Mark of respect for the Hibs strikers. Mitchell going up with McBride. So Mitchell with the throw. Simpson to Miller. Simpson again has McKimmie available on the left. Miller again making the extra man coming forward. That's for Hewitt. At full stretch, they tried to turn the ball across goal. And the referee this afternoon, Mr. Bob Valentine from Dundee, who I saw on extended highlights in midweek, handling the Verona against Juventus match very well indeed in the European Cup. James from Stetton is blocked by McDougall. Again, Miller's involved in an Aberdeen attack. Well, he hasn't found the net yet this season for Aberdeen, and he certainly didn't come close on that occasion either.
Well, he's certainly letting himself get free from the centre-half position. The fact that he's playing as a sweeper this afternoon, and he's looking, I think, to get forward at every chance, and not one of his better shots, I'm sure.
Paul Kane playing it high. Won by McKimmie. Hunter turns it away from Hewitt. Simpson to McKimmie. There's McDougall. Good challenge again by young Gordon Hunter. McDougall again finding space. It's beyond Stark and collected by Monroe. Calming things down, playing it back to Alan Rough. McLeish's header. McBride playing it back for Fulton. Cowan. That's collected by Stark. Simpson supported by Willie Miller again. Here's Stewart. McKimmie going in his outside. Stewart playing it in. It's intercepted by Hunter. Aberdeen certainly pushing defensive players forward very quickly indeed when they have possession. On that occasion, Stewart was the man who almost got over a telling cross, but he has the corner kick. Alec McLeish joining the attack. Billy Stark, claimed by Ruff. Could have been dangerous, that glancing header from Billy Stark.
I think he was looking really to knock it across the face of the goal there for McLeish to come in at the back post.
The chase is on for McDougall. He has Hewitt right behind. Oh, it's great play from Hewitt. Eric Black. 1-0 to Aberdeen. Eric Black, the man Alec Ferguson was so keen to see in the side, gives Aberdeen the lead.
But tremendous play, really, first of all from McDougall, and then John Hewitt burst between two players as Ruffy came out, sold on, got round, and a beautiful little chip to the back post. And I mean, that was superb play from the Aberdeen. Really first-class goal.
Sheer frustration there for Alan Ruff, but John Hewitt's commitment and positive running taking on the Hibs keeper. Brilliant play from Hewitt, and no one better for that header than Eric Black. Well, that, I'm sure, was the start which Aberdeen were keen to obtain, and Hibs, of course, were anxious to avoid. Instead, thumping it against Simpson. Here's Billy Stark now with McDougall and Black. Trying to find McDougall. It's Paul Kane who gets back for Hibs. Mark Fulton for Hibs. Touched on by Brazil, playing wide on the right side of midfield for Hibs, Ali Brazil. And that's where he's being closely marked by Stuart McKimmie. All the chanting here now coming from the Aberdeen supporters. Long journey down south, looking already to be well worthwhile. Aberdeen looking very eager as they come forward. Here's Hewitt. Testing the pace of Hunter. Good interception by Fulton. McDougall was waiting, but the pace of John Hewitt once again posing problems for Hibs. Hewitt's corner kick. Over away by Brazil, straight back to Hewitt. Billy Stark. 2-0 to Aberdeen. 12 minutes gone, and Hibs are totally stunned.
Well, it's John Hewitt again. He's having a tremendous game on the left-hand side here for Aberdeen. Another great little ball, this time with his right foot. And I don't know where the Hibs defenders got today, but Billy Stark had a very simple task really of nodding that one in.
John Hewitt's vital cross, and Billy Stark heads home his 8th goal of the season, a prolific goal scorer from midfield. Well, Aberdeen really asserting themselves in true champion style. And Hibs, for the moment, don't appear to have an answer. Led in by Mitchell. There's Eric Black. Mitchell again available. And Hibs this time goes in to scramble the ball back to Alan Ruff. Bit of barging and pushing between Cooper and Cowan. The referee waves play on. Cooper to Mitchell. Cooper again. Going all by himself. Here's Hewitt waiting in the middle now. Well, some very good attacking play by Neil Cooper. His principal role this afternoon is a defensive one, but showing his eagerness to get forward. All the supporters from North celebrating in style. Hear the noise now from the Aberdeen end. And they're all looking for Brazil. Calmly lofted away by Miller. Kimi escorted it behind. Brazil couldn't reach it, and that's an Aberdeen goal kick. Well, he had a very impressive opening period for Aberdeen.
Oh, tremendous. I mean, they've got so many variations in the play, Aberdeen. I mean, they can attack down the flanks, they can attack through the middle. They've got defenders that can join in and get up in the front as well. And really, it's a terrible job now for Hibs to get back into this game, because looking at it after 15 minutes, Aberdeen looks so much the better side.
Good header from Hunter. Chisholm wrestling Simpson off the ball, and the free kick goes to Aberdeen. Neil Cooper back in central defence to take the free kick. Up goes Black. Stark going in round the back, couldn't reach it. But Aberdeen carry lots of menace from that situation, especially with Eric Black as the target man for these high balls up front. Stark coming in behind him, couldn't make contact. Mitchell's header. Kane to Yuri. Linking with Cowan. That pass goes astray. The most disappointing feature perhaps so far for Hibs, the fact that they haven't been able to involve Cowan and Jury in the play very much. Such has been the Aberdeen stranglehold in midfield. Jury kept it in. There's Ian Monroe. The police returns it. Kane. Jury to Cowan. Willie Miller with a cross. Cover is provided by Neil Cooper, but the clearance wasn't decisive. Here's Monroe. Now McBride. A deep one for Chisholm. Oh, that's only a couple of feet wide. Gordon Chisholm's physique causing problems for the Aberdeen defence.
Well, that was the clearest chance that the Hibs have managed in the game so far. A good ball in from Joe McBride. And Aberdeen, you know, caught a little bit there. Chisholm battling away for it, and had a poke at it, and it just missed the advancing player there who was coming in.
So some encouragement for Hibs. Kimi returns the ball to Leighton after the poorish goal kick. Stebbins' header. There's Cowan. Kane sweeping it wide for Joe McBride. Ryan Mitchell was with him. McBride appealing furiously to the referee. And the referee has obliged with a free kick to Hibs. Joe McBride will take it. It's pushing players forward, but Stark is there for Aberdeen. Now Kane. Misunderstanding there with Chisholm. So Aberdeen have the goal kick. Well, some very contented men on the Aberdeen bench. But John Blackley and Tommy Craig with lots of hard thinking to do. There's John Blackley with some instructions. Good header by Chisholm. Played forward by Kane, but no hope of Gordon Jury, even with his pace, getting in the end of that. goes header. There's Mitchell. McDougall being closely marked by Fulton. That was intended for Cowan. It's won by Mitchell. Free kick's been given for some use of the elbow by Joe McBride, I think. So Aberdeen have a free kick and the chance to push McLeish and Stark into the box. Brian Mitchell. Up goes Stark. Well, Aberdeen have certainly profited in the air so far in the match, both goals coming from headers. A reminder that Aberdeen lead by 2-0. Eric Black with the first and Billy Stark there with the second. Simpson's header, looking for Hewitt. John Hewitt again showing his tremendous acceleration to block that clearance from Snedden. Will Cooper very positive indeed, going in front of Cowan. Yuri's header. Kane looking for Cowan, but it's swept away by Cooper. Black at the touch. Mitchell is first to the ball now for Aberdeen. Checking inside, looking for options. Was blocked by McBride. And here's Ian Munro. Fulton taking no chances. McLeish is penalised for leaning on Jury. So free kick to Hibs. Mark Fulton being waved forward by Ian Munro. Certainly no time for being cautious from the Hibs point of view. That's towards Fulton. Simpson's clearance. Snedden returns it. Jury losing it to McLeish. Kane to Fulton. That's for Cowan. Trying hard to control the ball in his chest.
Actually, it was a little bit unfortunate that the ball didn't quite go for him.
Now Stark on the break on the right. There's McDougall. The dummy was intended for Hewitt, but the flag is up on the far side. McDougall, I think, was the man adjudged offside.
Although the Hibs have come into the game a little bit in the last sort of 5 minutes since they've gone 2-0 behind. Every time Aberdeen got on the attack, you expect them to score. I mean, they just look different class from Hibs.
That's done by McBride for Cowan, then Jury. Neil Cooper again for Aberdeen. Stark plays it back. Jury got the ball ahead of McLeish, but Cowan is offside. So the uphill struggle for Hibs continues. Aberdeen carrying lots of menace when they get forward. McDougall going up with Hunter. Stark wide for Mitchell. Stark holding off Kane for a while, but the young Hibs midfield player did enough to pose problems for Stark. But it's Aberdeen who have possession again with Frank McDougall. Down goes Simpson. That'll be an Aberdeen free kick. Challenge came in from Chisholm, I think, was the offender. That's Ian Munro, the Hibs captain, who was also involved in the incident. So Aberdeen looking for a third goal, which would surely end Hibs' hopes finally. That's towards McLeish. Led away by Brazil. McKimmie now has Mitchell free on the right. McKimmie wants it back on the right wing. Header down from Black.
What a delightful header that was from Eric Black. You know, he just cushioned the ball as it came to him and knocked it down in the park. Just watch this as it comes in. I mean, there's very few players in the game can do that. It's beautiful. I mean, that's real skill. And every time the ball is in the air in the box, you expect Eric Black to do something about it, don't you?
Certainly showing no signs of the groin injury which kept him out of some recent Aberdeen matches. McLeish. McDougall finding Stark. Now Mitchell. Simpson going through the middle. Brazil getting back, and Hewitt could reach it. Good defending by Ali Brazil. Well won by McLeish. Kimmy sending a long ball through the middle. McDougall's physique will cause problems for the Hibs defence. Still Frank McDougall. Headed away by Chisholm. And Monroe calmly using Alan Ruff. The Hibs captain, Ian Monroe. A layoff from Jury. Once again, the Aberdeen defence closes in quickly enough. Fulton and Hunter combine to send it back to Ruff. The confidence appears to have been knocked right out of Hibs by these early goals from Aberdeen. Joe McBride. Cowan to Jury. Headed away by Mitchell. Kane's first time shot in the volley. And Jim Leighton treated that with total respect.
Well, look, actually it was a good shot, but rather too far out, I would think, to trouble anyone with the class of Jim Leighton. The ball's bobbling towards him.
Well, Kane, a good striker of the ball, but not on target on that occasion. O'Neill Cooper's having a marvellous match for Aberdeen. A bit overconfident perhaps with the pass inside. Brazil waiting for Stedden to go on the outside. Easily won by Cooper. Now Hewitt. Aberdeen now getting players forward through the middle. One of them is Neil Simpson. Kane playing the ball away from Stark. Wide wants it back. Jury obliges with the layoff. The Aberdeen defence is now back in numbers. The impetus is gone from this Hibs attack. The options running out for Hibs as they come forward. Back to Kane. Brazil's the target on the far side of the box. Good cross, helped on by Chisholm. And that's claimed by Jim Leighton. Like a pace coming forward though from midfield for Hibs.
Well, I was thinking the big difference between the two sides is that Aberdeen have got midfield players that can get forward. You know, Simpson gets forward, Stark gets in there as well. Hewitt, who is looking a very, very good player on the left-hand side. Whereas when you look at the Hibs midfielders, you know, they just haven't managed to get there. Brazil, Paul Kane, or Gordon Chisholm, nobody's getting forward to support the front men.
Neil Simpson now for Aberdeen. Black peeling wide on the left, attacking Hunter. And referee Bob Ballantyne very close to the action to award that free kick to Aberdeen. Young Gordon Hunter was the offender. Bob Ballantyne certainly is not short of fitness, that's for sure. Keeps very close to the play. Alan Ruff looks very calm indeed in goal, but he has picked two out of the net so far. Hewitt to McKimmie. Ruff positioning himself in the 6-yard line to make that look easy.
And again, a good free kick, a little change for them. Instead of knocking it in for a header, it was a square ball, and good strong shot by McKimmie.
Bolton looking for Cowan. Will Cooper again, escorting it back to Leighton. Coming awkwardly off the head of Frank McDougall. Jury touching it on, but no one there for Hibs, and Aberdeen again have lots of time. Here's McDougall. Now McKimmie. Trying to find Stark, and the offside flag is up against Eric Black. Referee allowing play to go on as Rough has possession for Hibs. Good touch on by Jury. There's Cowan. Good first time effort from Steve Cowan. The first time a partnership of Jury and Cowan has really come good for Hibs.
Yeah, well, they certainly combined well there, Jock, didn't they, to create a chance. Nice little shot first time on the volley. It's good effort.
Well, that may give Hibs some encouragement. Down goes Stark. Monroe is penalised. So Aberdeen had a chance again to use their aerial power against the Hibs defence. Few teams in the country better equipped for these situations than Aberdeen, with McLeish, Stark, McDougall, Black. Played in by Hewitt. The header out was by Chisholm. Well, Jury knew what he was doing all right. It looked dangerous for a moment, but Jury picked out Alan Rough. Gordon Hunter. McLeish again, the master in the challenge with Jury. Headed on by Cowan. Kane snatching at the shot, expecting no time at all from the Aberdeen defence.
But that's the kind of thing I was meaning before, Jock, when I said about midfield players getting forward. As the ball is getting played up to Cowans, then you've got to expect somebody like Kane to go in there, you know, or Brazil or whoever, to get up there and support them. And if they don't do it, well, they're certainly not going to get in that box to get the chances.
Well won by Fulton, getting above Eric Black, and that's no easy task. A push by Hunter into the back of McDougall gives Aberdeen the free kick. Willie Miller will take it for Aberdeen. McLeish stayed back this time. Black may well be the target for the high ball. Black beaten by Fulton again. McKimmie now to Hewitt. Good 1-2 between Hewitt and McKimmie, but Alan Snedden kept his eye on the ball. Cooper turning it out for Aberdeen to give Hibs the throw. Past the half-hour mark, still Aberdeen 2, Hibs 0. Goals from Black and Stark in the opening 12 minutes, separating the teams. So Hibs, who beat both Rangers and Celtic to earn this place in the final, finding Aberdeen in superb form. McLeish coming to meet Alan Snedden with a firm tackle. Hibs once again pushing towards the Aberdeen box. Gordon Jury can deliver a very long throw. Almost as good as a corner kick. Leighton beating it out. It's Kane. Good anticipation there from McKimmie. He spotted that ball intended for Jury very early. And now Hewitt on the break with McKimmie ahead of him. McKimmie's onside, but McDougall wasn't. McKimmie is very angry, but I'm sure he was not the man offside.
Well, I don't think so either. And it's always annoying, that, isn't it, when you've done so well and you've ran forward, you're onside, and the linesman puts his flag up for somebody else who happens to be maybe 40 yards away from the play.
Cooper goes down rather belatedly, and the referee is not impressed. Brazil with the throw. Here's Jury. He's been allowed to turn to face McLeish. Kimmy wins it for Aberdeen. Stetton turning it back to Fulton. There's McLeish. Jury is penalised for backing into the Aberdeen centre half. Well, Ian, you see any way back at all for Hibs?
Well, not really at the moment. I wouldn't say they've created an awful lot of chances. Haven't looked dangerous at all, really. And Aberdeen look to me as if they're quite content at the moment. They're sitting in a 2-0 lead, and they appear to have it well in hand.
Yes, the problems all appear to belong to Hibs. This stage of the match with around 10 minutes in the first half left. There's Paul Kane. Far post cross. Turned in by McBride to Cowan. And that was close for Hibs. Well, again, some encouragement for the Hibs supporters. Paul Kane involved in it with the far-flung cross to the far post. Got it down for Cowan, and the shot goes wide.
Well, at least it's given the Hibs fans a little bit of hope, that, hasn't it? You know, I'd like to see them getting a goal, because I think, you know, getting a goal will spark Aberdeen again. Because I feel, as I said, they're just sitting back a little bit now. So really, to get the game bubbling again, I think the Hibs have got to get one.
There's certainly no shortage of effort coming from the Easter Road men. There's Monroe leading by example, but being blocked by Black. Willie Miller. Delightful header that from McDougall. And Mitchell guilty of a foul, I think, on Joe McBride. Yes, the free kick goes to Hibs. They certainly appear to have picked up the pace a little bit. Hibs, encouraged by a couple of good attacks. Fulton looking for Cowan. Too high for the Hibs centre forward. Headed down by Fulton. There's Jury. Now Chisholm, playing in his second cup final of 1985. He played for Sunderland against Norwich in the Milk Cup final. And the linesman flags for a corner kick.
Well, I can't believe that.
Furious.
I can't believe that, John, because he definitely, you know, caught the ball before it went out. I mean, I know we're looking from the stand. Possibly you'll see it with the camera close to the goal, but he certainly had his body behind it.
It's also fair to say the linesman was not at the corner flag. He was fully 10 yards away from the byline when he gave that decision, and the referee Valentine having a word with Tim Leighton. So that show of dissent. Now can Hibs cash in on the corner kick? Joe McBride. That's done by Cowan. Blocked by McKimmie. McBride turning it back to Monroe. A lot more life about Hibs now suddenly. Sneddon back to McBride. Crisply struck, but always covered by Jim Leighton.
Well, the Hibs have certainly picked it up, as you said, Jock. They're beginning in the last 5 minutes to really apply a little bit of pressure to Aberdeen. Joe McBride with a left foot shot there, but the angle not quite right to beat the goalkeeper at the near post there. But I think we're looking for a little bit more from Joe McBride, because he's got a bit of experience. He's a lovely crosser of the ball, and I think he's got to do a little bit more on that left side and get the service over for the strikers.
Stetton sending one up the line. Jury using his pace to give chase and force McLeish to concede the throw. Once again, this is almost as good as a corner kick, with Jury at the end of it. Well won by Cooper. Jury again. No question in my mind that Neil Cooper is proving this afternoon that his best position is in central defence. Chisholm trying to control it. Swept away by Cooper. Hunter returns it. That's a lucky clearance that from Cooper, finding Mitchell in space on the right. McBride getting back. Simpson lofting it towards McDougall, but Hibs have possession again. Ian Munro. Now Kane. Showing good close control to retain possession with Hunter coming from the back for Hibs. Snedden on his outside. Good play from young Hunter. There's Snedden at the byline. And a promising Hibs attack comes to an end as Snedden turns it behind. Tommy Craig, the Hibs assistant manager, off his seat to give some encouragement to his players. Willie Gardner, the Aberdeen assistant manager, must be only a little that Hibs are pushing forward so much, and Aberdeen look to be sitting back in the lead. So Aberdeen now with Stuart McKimmie taking the throw. Hewitt to Simpson. Hewitt again looking for Simpson. A good tackle from Brazil. Hewitt lofting it forward for Simpson to chase, but Hunter is there first. He did well to screen the ball from Simpson to let it go for the goal kick. So 5 minutes of the first half left. Aberdeen 2, Hibs 0. Both goals coming in the opening 12 minutes. Headers from Eric Black and Billy Stark. But Hibs making a big effort now towards the end of the first half to get back into the match. Will Cooper under intense pressure from Cowan. Reacted well to it with an accurate header to Leighton. Fulton again beating Black for the high ball. And Aberdeen have the throw. There's Black. Bundled down by Hunter. Black staying there with Mitchell, but now being waved forward. Brian Mitchell now with Billy Stark in the box. Alec McLeish stayed back on this occasion. The header from Chisholm, turned away by Brazil. Willie Miller supporting. Good one-touch play from Aberdeen. Hewitt to McKimmie. Too high for Black. He was away from his marker but couldn't reach it. So Hibs have the goal kick again. Well, in the first half, what players have caught the eye for you?
Well, I mean, I must say, looking at Aberdeen, and I would put them in a bracket with the top sides in England, certainly with Manchester United and Liverpool. Looking at this game today, I think that Aberdeen can certainly hold their own with anybody. They're a super side, they've got all-round skill, they've got players that can score, defenders that can defend, and they're a very exciting team. And also, that I think they've got so much experience now that they can play a game as they are doing at the moment, and only put their foot on the gas when they need to. And I think they're playing in little bursts now, and just easing off and letting letting Hibs come into the game, and then applying a bit of pressure when they need it. I really think if they went full out now, that they could score really, any time they wanted.
They certainly have a hectic domestic programme, and of course a European tie against Servette at Pittodrie in 10 days' time. So that may explain why they're content to ease things off a bit from time to time. But here's Mitchell. Black. Crisply struck by Eric Black. Alan Ruff scrambling across his line to cover it. But as Ian St John says, Aberdeen stepping on the gas with Black's shot beyond the far post. Jury's header. McLeish. That's well cut off by Chisholm, but McLeish reacted well for Aberdeen. And now Brian Mitchell. Mitchell again. Stark too neat with the layoff. And Mitchell carrying through with the tackle, and Joe McBride has incurred the wrath of referee Bob Ballantyne. So the first player to be spoken to, apart from Jim Layton for some dissent. And there's the reason why, as Mitchell continued with that challenge after McBride had played the ball away to Brazil. Header from Cooper. Layton again claiming the ball as Cowan closed in. Into the final minute now of a first half which has undoubtedly belonged to Aberdeen. And the throw goes to Aberdeen. Stuart McKimmie will take it. Hewitt turning inside. Brazil is Wooler rather is available. Black a shade casual perhaps, and it's now with Joe McBride. Cooper intercepts. Billy Stark carrying the ball over. Brief lapse in concentration from Stark. Eamon Roll looking for movement among his colleagues to take this throw. Forced to take the safe course by throwing it up the line where Jury won it for McBride. Jury at full tilt now, he has the legs of Cooper. Ali Brazil in the box, Kane arriving late, and McKimmie's there for Aberdeen. Now Brazil. McKimmie full stretch, and Jury snatching at the shot on the turn. And that's probably the last chance for Hibs in the first half to get a goal to bring them closer to Aberdeen. In fact, the referee has brought the first half to an end. The whistle wasn't clear to everyone. So Aberdeen leave after a thoroughly convincing first half performance. A blistering start with Eric Black getting the opening goal, and then Billy Stark in the 12th minute making it 2-0. And the goal from Billy Stark coming from yet another excellent piece of play from John Hewitt. The glancing header leaving Alan Ruff stranded. So Aberdeen go in at half-time with the score Aberdeen 2, Hibs 0.
Ordinary glass waste heat. Silver plus glass saves it. You only fit double glazing once, so fit the best, Everest.
This is the martini time of day. Anytime, any place, anywhere. The refreshing taste of Martini Rosso. The red one. The right one.
Want a point of view that's fresh and new? Make a meet on the street with a star. For the latest buzz, read what Newsfile does. It's a treat when you meet with a star. You a sporting fan? Well, the star's your man. Want the scores? They're yours in the Star. Pop news, TV, bingo, fashion.
The Star.
Gossip, features, all the action.
The Star.
Get a point of view that's fresh and new. Make a meet on the street with a star. The Star. Liveliest daily on the street today.
What's this we see?
Well, goodness me.
It's a bright new store. What? Tell me more. That clever leopard's gone and changed his spots.
Granada rents.
We know he rents.
We also sell.
He sells as well. That clever leopard's gone and changed his spots.
It makes me sad. It makes me mad. There's no way we can guarantee to give the kind of service he provides.
Yeah, he hooks and chews.
Gives expert view.
Keeps his prices low.
And the range he shows.
And every single one's a household name. Granada rents.
We know
you rent.
We also sell.
He sells as well.
This clever leopard's gone and changed his spots.
Oh yes, this clever leopard's gone and changed his spots. Yeah.
taken skill and vision and care. It has given us the Metro, the best-selling British small car. The all-round Maestro, fast, tough, spacious. The Montego, with 5 major awards in 10 months, including What Car's Best Family Saloon. The Estate Car of the Year. And the Montego Turbo, the fastest production saloon of its kind in the world. Austin Rover's Metro, Maestro, Montego, the nation's new cars. Now we're motoring. Does your lager always hit the mark? At Harp, we precision brew every inch of our lager so that every time you lift your glass or open a can, you get precisely the same brightness, the same lively taste you look forward to. We've been brewing lager in Scotland for years, so it's no wonder we can promise you a perfect pint again and again and again. Harp, precision brewed to taste perfect.
Protect your family and possessions against fire and smoke with alarms and safety products from Key Safety. Dial freephone 100 for brochure and further details.
Welcome back to Scott Sport League Cup final special, and a comment now from Billy McNeill on the first half. Hibernian very much in trouble, Billy, but oddly enough they made a tremendous start and might just have snatched an early goal.
Well, they did get the early breakthrough. I thought that Cowan was slightly offside myself, Arthur, but it's difficult to see from the studio. But it was a definite chance early on. They didn't get support up, and to be fair, Aberdeen got back in numbers and killed the chance.
Coming up now, this brilliant bit of play for the first goal. McDougall and Hewitt doing superbly here.
That's right. I think this is a great goal. A very creative goal. Look at that. I felt Ruffy could have stayed on his feet just a bit longer there, but having said that, real quality goal. Good play from McDougall, good play from Hewitt, and a fine finishing cross and good header.
I think the unexpected thing there was McDougall actually turning away from the goal. I think that disconcerted the Hibs defence a bit.
Well, he had the chance to go and turn and have a knock himself, but I think he saw the support coming from Hewitt, and John Hewitt to me is a very, very exciting player, and he did exactly the right thing. He went through between 2 defenders, and all of a sudden he's exposed the goalkeeper. As I say, I felt Alan Ruff could perhaps have stayed on his feet just a fraction longer, but then again, he's got to make up his mind in a split second.
And of course, Hewitt very much involved in the second goal, which was of equal quality, I would say.
Right. I thought this was a poor clearance from the corner originally, but you know, Alan Snedden fair enough kills him there. But it's a good right-footed, and I'll tell you, I think it's a tremendous header because he's coming off the back post. He's lost his marker and he's met the ball perfectly to put it away, and he knew exactly what he was doing there by the start.
Yes.
But from John Hewitt, very left-sided, nevertheless he elected to go on his right foot and put in a cross that was just begging to be put away. At that stage I didn't think there was any hope whatsoever for Hibs, to be honest with you, Arthur, but I felt Aberdeen got a bit slack, got a bit casual after that, and that casualness almost cost them a goal.
You know, as in the second part of the first half, Hibs did have 1 or 2 chances, including this very good opportunity here for Chisholm. It looked a good chance here.
Yes. Yeah, I thought this was a definite chance, because if you watch it coming back, Joe McBride does well to get it back. Now, I felt that Cowan snatched at it, and I honestly felt that perhaps a wee bit more composure there and just a bit better finish, and I felt that was a real definite chance. You wonder, I think that chance going the other end, I certainly would have been put away.
Right, let's go back out now to Hampden and an opportunity to talk to Ian St John, who I think is there to speak with us. Ian, you reckon to think that Aberdeen were very much in command there in that first half?
Oh yeah, I think I agree with Billy there. I thought Aberdeen played very, very well. I think they're a super team, and they look really a little bit above the class of Hibs, and I'm sorry to say that because there's so many people through from Edinburgh today. It would be nice, you know, if the team could have won the cup for them, but at this stage, you know, 2-0 down, it's looking a little bit beyond them.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Ian. Aberdeen, I think, started the game just exactly right, didn't they? They got the ball, they played a bit, they came forward in numbers, they supported each other, and they've really got quality players, haven't they, in the positions that count. And Eric Black, we all know how good he is in the air, and he finished that first one off just perfectly, didn't he?
Well, I mean, it's so difficult to tie down, isn't it, Billy? Anything in the air at all, in the box, you know, Black. Not only can he score himself, he can lay them on for other people.
Well, that's right.
I did think that the variations in the play were terrific. And, you know, they get men forward from the back. Miller can go up there and support the play. They get full-backs in there. Midfield players can get through. And, you know, playing against them, you get so many people coming at you, you know, it makes life difficult.
Well, the next 10 minutes of the first 10 minutes of the second half, Ian, are going to be critical. What difference to the match would it be, do you think, would it make if Hibs perhaps went against your forecast and nipped an early goal here at the start of the second half?
Well, I'd love that. I certainly would love that, and I think certainly a lot of the crowd here would love it as well, because I think it would make the game. I'm just going to get hammered by the pipe bands who are coming right down behind me.
Right,
I've got to leave you now, Billy, I'm sorry.
Right, appropriately, I think, for us to time to take a wee break. And when you rejoin us, we're going back to Hampden, of course, for the second half live of the 1985 Skol League Cup final.
Number 1, always use a good quality tea. Number 2, always use freshly drawn water. Everyone knows that one, right? Number 3, remember to warm the teapot or urn.
Oh, what a palaver. I use new Typho 1 cup. Every bag's got just the right amount of tea for one really good cuppa. Oh, what do you think of that?
Excellent. What do you say, Mum? Yes, then tea will revive you.
New Typho 1 cup for one perfect cup of oo.
Every Sunday morning, I observe the upwardly mobile inhabitants of Audley Court. Despite fiercely competitive careers, their domestic pursuits remain remarkably predictable. Yet there's something about the one who takes the Observer that's ambivalent, dichotomous, paradoxically iconoclastic even. Know what I mean?
Do something different every Sunday. Read the Observer.
And now, can the Tartan Pimpernel save Scotland's most famous goalie?
John Balmoral McBain, for conceding 36 goals in a single game against Arbroath, I hereby sentence you to life imprisonment.
Take him down. You got off lightly there, son, considering the judge was a Bona Court supporter. Opening time.
No doubt you were ready for a pint of tartan special.
I'll get that tartan special.
Oh, terrific. Tartan special. They always fall for it.
Hey, they've got Ali McLeod in there. Any chance of saving him too?
I'll pretend I never heard that.
So, you want to marry my daughter, boy? Can you afford her?
Well, I've got a little capital tucked away.
Have you indeed?
Yes, it's earning a top rate of interest in a capital account.
Good tactics, young man.
I shall soon have enough to get a mortgage.
You're not with the Royal Hussars, eh?
No, sir, I'm with the Woolwich.
Damn fine regiment.
Where are you saving for the day you march up the aisle?
Announcing a new generation of televisions with flatter, squarer tubes. Philips Matchline. Matchline, another sensation from Philips.
Martini Extra Dry. Once discovered, never lost. Have it with or without. With friends, with pleasure. Martini Extra Dry. It's there to be discovered.
If you're about to spend thousands on a personal computer, speak to an IBM authorized dealer. IBM authorized dealers. They've earned their stripes.
Welcome back to the second half of the Skol League Cup final, which is just about to begin. The timing is impeccable. Referee Bob Valentine sorting the timing out with both linesmen. No changes in either lineup as Aberdeen set off. 45 minutes away from completing Alec Ferguson's domestic set of medals. He's already won the Scottish Cup and the League Championship on more than one occasion, but he's still to win the League Cup as Aberdeen manager, and if his team can hold on to this 2-goal lead, or in fact increase it, then he will complete a very impressive set of medals and cap a wonderful record as Aberdeen manager. There's Frank McDougall. Kimmy going forward, leaving it to Hewitt on the far side. Taking on Snedden towards the byline. That's a fine cross. Stark is there, so is Chisholm. Simpson couldn't reach it. And there's Willie Miller operating in front of the two central defenders again. But John Hewitt is offside. So fine.
I'm just sorry, John. I'm just saying we've been talking about Aberdeen getting people, you know, from the back up and support. And again, that was a great example, wasn't it? Fullback getting to the byline and sending over a piece of a cross.
So the free kick taken by Alan Snedden. The substitutes on each side. Aberdeen have Peter Weir and Steve Gray, and Hibs have John Collins and Colin Harris in reserve. So all positive attacking players. We may see each side freshened up before the end. But Hibs obviously very anxious to make an early impact in the second half. Neil Cooper coming out of defence but running into Paul Kane. Here's Jury. He thought Kane was continuing the run, I think, but it's collected by Hewitt for Aberdeen. McDougall's pressure wins the throw for Aberdeen. Hewitt has gone inside. That's for Mitchell. Aberdeen now getting players into the box, looking for a cross from Brian Mitchell. And it's turned behind by Snedden. Stark was stumbling as the ball came across. That did it easier for Snedden, but it's a corner kick to Aberdeen. It was their opening 15-minute burst in the first half, which pushed the cup their way, Aberdeen, when they scored twice within 12 minutes. John Hewitt now with the corner kick. Played out by McBride. Good header by Simpson. Hewitt looking over the cross, but the judgment's not there, and that's behind for a Hibs goal kick. Anything you think Hibs can do to change things at the start of the second half, Ian?
Well, you know, I think they've just got to work like hell. They've got to, you know, really try and close down the Aberdeen players. Don't let them build up, and if possible, just, you know, try to knock them out their stride. And if they can get men forward to support the front two, well, as I said in the first half, that's something that's imperative. They really have to do that.
There's Willie Miller coming to the back again for Aberdeen, looking for Hewitt, but Snedden is there for Hibs. Tremendous stamina, Alan Snedden. Good play from Brazil. Simpson does well for Aberdeen. Kimmy was hoping to find Eric Black. Well, he's got possession now for Aberdeen. And Rowe wins it back. And here's Paul Kane. Jury's layoff goes astray and allows Miller to lay it forward for Black. Black is penalised by referee Valentine. Now, I suspect that Eric Black may not see out the full 90 minutes. Just an odd sign that he's not moving as freely as he would like. Foul by McBride on Mitchell. Alec Ferguson has gone to the Aberdeen bench for the second half. He stayed in the director's box throughout the first half, but clearly there to inject some additional urgency. And again, Black is penalised this time for making a back for the defender. Alan Rough has a chance to launch a Hibs attack. The long ball through the middle, met by McLeish. Simpson going late into Paul Kane. the young Hibs midfield player heading the ball forward. Simpson caught him. And Hibs have the free kick. 5 minutes of the second half gone. Still Aberdeen 2, Hibs 0. Ian Munro. Up goes Chisholm. McKimmie showing good awareness there. He knew exactly where Leighton was to nod it back to him. Hunter providing the cover for Fulton. McLeish's header, returned by Fulton. Cowan towards McBride. Looking for a free kick as Miller and Mitchell closed in on him. Referee Valentine not interested. Aberdeen always capable of getting men back into defensive positions, never any forward moves breakdown. Monroe looking very determined for Hibs. He has McBride on the left touchline. It's a good pass from Monroe. Taking on Mitchell. A fine cross. McKimmie was at the far side with two Hibs players, and the free kick's been given to Aberdeen. Chisholm and Cowan were the Hibs men. See why from the cross.
I was saying in the first half that Joe McBride has got to do this, Jock. You know, he's got to take on his fullback, get to the byline and get balls over. And that was terrific, you know, but he's got to do it more often.
Leighton still having trouble with these kickouts. Cowan gets the decision. Handball against Simpson. Lights are now on at Hampden as Monroe plays a short free kick. Kane, too long for Fulton. But certainly Hibs are showing their willingness to push men from the back forward. Mark Fulton that time. Gordon Chisholm's getting into the box more quickly now in the second half.
I would think John Blackley said that to them at half-time, Jock, you know, that they've got to do that. They've got to really commit themselves now to push forward and try to get one.
Monroe first to the ball for Hibs. Do you agree Eric Black looks a wee bit sluggish now in the second half, Ian?
Yes, I had a look at him there when you said that he might not last the game, and it's possible that they could bring him off later on.
Black for the moment, still in his normal position for Aberdeen. Looking well to get the touch. Down goes McDougall. Monroe has possession for Hibs. Jury's first touch let him down. McDougall. Again, the support comes from Willie Miller, doing very well indeed in that role, ahead of Cooper and McLeish, making an extra midfield man. Warmly applauded by the Aberdeen fans as McKimmie plays it forward for Hewitt. Well, the cross was too close to Alan Rough, but some fine play and attack again from Aberdeen.
And Willie Miller at the heart of it as well, as you say. He's playing well, Willie, you know, and good. He was involved right through the build-up. But again, John Hewitt, who I think has come on a ton in the last year, he's looking, you know, strong. He can buy people, and I would think Alex Ferguson, although he's manager and he's a Scottish manager, I don't think he'd be showing favouritism if he selected him for the pool, you know.
Well, high praise indeed for John Hewitt. Enjoying his best spell, perhaps, at Tawdry. Eric Black goes down, and there is certainly some anxiety among the Aberdeen training staff about Eric Black. And I think Eric Black's involvement in the match will end shortly. Steve Gray warming up. Peter Weir is also out as Simpson takes the free kick. Simpson, well struck, and carefully taken by Alan Rough. Well, this could have caught out the Leicester goalkeeper. Forcing play by Monroe once again, brought to a halt by Mitchell. Kane sends it too long for Cowan. Hewitt. Decisive tackle from Fulton, and it was Simpson who carried through on Brazil, but play goes on as Hibs have possession with Paul Kane. Good close control demonstrated by Kane. But not that time by Ali Brazil. Heavy touch to turn the ball out for the throw.
I must say, I think the tackling up here in Scotland is a lot harder than it is down south. You know, I mean, they still allow tackles from the back, and you know, when you haven't seen it for a while and you see players thundering in at each other from the back, you know, it's frightening.
Mitchell's pass, looking for Black. Fulton getting the ball forward. Monroe with Mitchell. Free kick goes Hibs' way. Well, it may indeed be Hibs will make the first substitution. Colin Harris is now stripping below us for action. Fulton turns it back to Ruff. Here's Mark Fulton. Interception by Brian Mitchell. Here's Willie Miller. Miller indicating that he wasn't happy with the lack of movement ahead of him. There's Colin Harris waiting to come on for Hibs. Fulton again, calmly back to Ruff. Well, Aberdeen certainly still appear to be playing well within themselves. With this two-goal cushion, they don't appear to be too concerned by the sponsors' bonuses for winning margins. Down goes Neil Cooper. He took that blow from Steve Cowan. Not at all that Cowan was going to play the ball, and that certainly appears to be the referee's view. But Neil Cooper will not be consoled by that for the moment.
I think he's rather annoyed there, but I do think it was an accident because Cowan's thought the ball was going past him. We'll have a look at it here. Two of them charging it. He didn't see Cooper coming, you know, and he turned to hook the ball in as it was dropping. And Cooper came in the blind side and just caught his foot.
Yes, it appears to be an accident, all right. And now the change is made for Hibs. The man going off is Ali Brazil, who's been operating on the right side of midfield. The replacement is Colin Harris, and I think that may mean a little bit of reorganisation in the Hibs ranks. Well, Harris is going to the right side of midfield with Kane being moved in with Chisholm going to the left side of midfield. McBride is now playing in the supporting role behind Jury and Cowan. Alec Ferguson comes off his seat with that incident involving Brian Mitchell, his fullback, who's still on the ground, and the Aberdeen bench is incensed by that challenge. Well, we'll see what brought about the anger, but the referee is now going to speak to Alec Ferguson. Well, what's referee Bob Valentine going to do about this? Brian Mitchell is on the ground. There's no question that Alec Ferguson was incensed by the challenge.
I mean, it was a very, very late challenge here. You know, I think it was Jury came across and stuck his boot. I'm surprised that a referee who saw it, you know, didn't do anything about it. I mean, at least he should have stopped the game, because you know when a player goes in for a ball like that and somebody comes in late, that he's definitely got hurt, and the referee should have blown up just to let the trainer on.
Alec Ferguson still reorganising the Aberdeen ranks, but referee Valentine appears not to be interested in the reaction of the Aberdeen manager to the foul. Well, we're saying a foul, but there's no free kick given.
No, it was a late challenge, but it was one of those late dangerous challenges that, you know, that the player kicking the ball, that's when they get broken legs, actually. When players come flying in with their foot up like that.
Yes, the studs were certainly shown by Gordon Jury to Brian Mitchell. The Aberdeen subs now appearing, Peter Weir and Steve Gray. Brian Mitchell appears to be all right. This is only his second game at Hampden, and his first match was for Aberdeen reserves against Queen's Park Strollers, so quite a difference in occasions. Colin Harris is number 14 for Hibs. McKimmy's throw. There's Black. Turning neatly, brought down by Fulton. Free kick's been given all right. And this time Alec McLeish is sprinting forward into the box to join the Aberdeen attack. Hewitt with a free kick. There's Black. Beaten to the ball by Harris. A very important intrusion there by Colin Harris. Black had the goal at his mercy.
Yeah, it looked a bit of a chance there because it got flicked on there, and it fell nicely for Black, and it was a great challenge by Harris.
So Hibs with everyone back except Gordon Jury. Go Stark, he can't reach it. Bolton under pressure immediately from Willie Miller. The referee reacting to a signal from the linesman that there was an infringement inside the box, perhaps. Dangerous play by Willie Miller. Indirect free kick indicated. Yes, that may well be correct. Good touch on by Jury. Neil Cooper really has been outstanding at centre back for Aberdeen this afternoon. Stuart McKimmie. Hewitt getting away from Snedden. Good tackle by Snedden. With a fair amount of pace, the Hibs full-back, which he needs in abundance, of course, to handle John Hewitt. There's Simpson. Eric Black. Aberdeen start. And brilliantly created once again by Aberdeen. Dougal and Simpson combining.
Well, it was super play, really. You know, Simpson came round the back, burst through, and that's terrific to beat the goalkeeper by just squaring it across the 6-yard box, and Eric Black following up to slide it in.
So Aberdeen 3 ahead. Eric Black gets his 6th goal of the season with that tap in, and his inclusion in the side, despite being hampered by injury, moving already well worthwhile. That's his 2nd of the match, in fact the 7th of the season. And Eric Black, in fact, may now see out the match because there are bonuses. Great effort from Kane, and Jim Leighton at his international best. Well, a moment for Hibs to savour. Paul Kane, such a good striker of the ball from that distance, and Leighton in full stretch.
Well, it was a great shot and a great save, John. Young Paul Kane's been busy in the midfield for the Hibs. I would like to see him getting on the score sheet.
Joe McBride with a corner. Leighton's committed. The corner kick bringing Leighton from his line. He made up his mind early. Wouldn't be deflected. Took it well from Harris. Well, as I was saying, there are bonuses indeed for the margin of victory and for any player to get a hat-trick. If Aberdeen win by a 3-goal margin, the Skoll bonus is £5,500. And any player who can get a hat-trick in the final can win £5,600. So that's the target, obviously, for Eric Black, who now has 2 for Aberdeen. And indeed, that may well mean that he will not be replaced in the Aberdeen attack.
I think he'd be a bit annoyed if it was replaced now. £5 grand for a goal.
Black still looks a little bit inconvenienced by the injury he's carrying, but clearly he'll be happy to shrug that off in the remaining period of the game to try and get that 3rd goal. Here's Billy Stark. Simpson towards Miller. 20 minutes now into the second half. Aberdeen leading by 3 goals to 0. 2 from Eric Black, 1 from Billy Stark. Neil Cooper. Miller to Simpson. Now Mitchell. Black's ahead of him short. Mitchell driving forward but being hustled all the way back by Gordon Chisholm, who used an arm unfairly. So Aberdeen have the free kick. McLeish goes forward. Willie Miller. Too long for the Aberdeen forwards. And for Alec McLeish, who tried to turn it back across goal. So Hibs goal kick. But if Aberdeen could get a 4th goal and win by a 4-goal margin or more, the bonus would go up to £11,000. So if the 4th goal came from Eric Black, that would be quite an incredible payday for Aberdeen.
It's actually a good idea, isn't it, to award bonuses for goals. At least the incentive now is to go forward and score goals. I think it's a great idea.
Well, it might not be one which Hibs relish at the moment. Trailing by 3 goals and facing an Aberdeen side which appears now to be totally in command. Hewitt, well tackled by Snedden. Alan Snedden has certainly stuck to his task this afternoon. John Hewitt in the early stages of the match in particular looked to be in devastating form. Cooper to Mitchell. Will Simpson. Julie missed it. Simpson showing his confidence on the ball. Black picks out Willie Miller. That's one for McDougall to challenge for. Stark. Billy Stark, normally so deadly in these situations. 20 goals last season. He's got 8 already this season. And then this ball broke from the challenge from McDougall. It really was a good shooting chance for Stark. That's for Black to chase. Well, I'm still convinced that Eric Black is struggling just a shade with that injury.
Well, he's limping on his way back there. You know, he is. Yes, it looks as if he's saying, "I've had it."
Well, even with the hat-trick on, Eric Black is clearly in trouble.
Well, he's certainly coming off because his sub is now stripping, so it would appear that Black's ended his afternoon's work.
And an opportunity for some cup final experience for 18-year-old Steve Gray. So the singing still from the Aberdeen end of the ground. To our left. Cooper. Turned out by Monroe, and now the change will be made by Aberdeen. Eric Black has performed his task superbly for Aberdeen. He got the vital opening goal, then got the 3rd, his own 2nd, a few moments ago. Off he goes to congratulations from Alex Ferguson, and on goes Steve Gray. So Gray continues his football education. He played the European Cup on Wednesday night in Switzerland as a substitute, and here he is now in his first major cup final in the Aberdeen first team. Comes upwardly off the head of Gordon Hunter. Set up by Hewitt for Simpson. McKimmie lofts it in. McDougall. Well, Hewitt tried to create the space for him as the ball dropped.
Well, it was a bit of a chance again, and I mean, Aberdeen are looking very threatening now in terms of attack. And that was tried a first-time volley there, McDougall, and didn't quite get a hold of it.
And the Hibs supporters, to their credit, also with the chant "High Bees." I've no doubt they appreciate fully they're playing against top-class opposition in excellent form. credit to Hibs for sticking to the task and battling away. It was Colin Harris that time who tried to get the cross in front of goal, couldn't make it.
I think that's been one of the failures of Hibs today. When they have managed to get into positions to get the ball into the penalty area, you know, they've been knocking it behind the goal and into the goalkeeper's hands. And the quality of passes in there and the passes up to the forwards, you know, haven't been very good.
The header from Fulton. Jury beaten to the ball by McLeish. Taken down by McBride, but Mitchell stepped in instantly for Aberdeen. Willie Miller won a League Cup medal in 1977 for Aberdeen, the only survivor from that side. Fulton's header was Chisholm. Now Frank McDougall made space for himself. Now Hewitt. And on Ruff got his angles right.
It was a good effort by John Hewitt, but again, good play. Simpson there involved in it and set a lovely pass and a good smack. And as you say, Alan Ruff got his angles right, straight at him, but did well, the goalkeeper.
Long ball this time from Leighton. McDougall charging in, but Fulton standing his ground. And here's Colin Harris. Positive play from Harris, but beaten by the determination and stamina of Neil Simpson.
Good defending by Simpson. You know, they must have chased him there all of 50 yards to win that tackle.
Kane is penalised for a nudge on Neil Simpson. Now with the long ball again, seeking out Frank McDougall through the middle. Collected by Gordon Chisholm. Harris with the header, looking for Cowan. Cooper always appears to have time this afternoon at the back for Aberdeen. Here's Chisholm now for Hibs, with Harris available again on the right side of midfield. He certainly has seen plenty of the ball since he came on for Ali Brazil. Kane to Snedden. Back to Hunter. Simpson now to Willie Miller. How he's enjoying this role, coming forward into midfield on a regular basis for Aberdeen. Here's Steve Gray. Punching tackle from Ian Munro. His header falls straight to the feet of Chisholm. Hibs not getting men forward quickly enough. They only have Steve Cowan up on the right, Jury on the left. Here's John McBride. Well, that certainly was a hopeful ball. The facial expression tells all for Joe McBride. Not about to emulate his father's feat 20 years ago when he won the League Cup with his medal for Celtic against Rangers. Pushing by McDougall on Fulton as the ball was in the air, so Hibs have the free kick. Here's Steve Cowan checking inside Cooper. Kimmy the clearance. Snedden and Hewitt together. Kane back to Fulton. Now Gordon Hunter. The attendance this afternoon, 40,065.
I think that's a good attendance, Jock. I don't know what you think, but you know, when a game's live on television and the people have to travel from Aberdeen and Edinburgh to get through to Glasgow here, I think it's a tremendous gate.
Great tribute to both supports, I think, to find so many people inside the ground. And Hibs supporters, I hope, will not be too dismayed by the scoreline. Dougal going through the middle, and Fulton making certain he stayed goal side as Rough came out. But this Aberdeen performance really has been irresistible, I think, as far as any other Scottish side is concerned, and perhaps any British side at that.
The referee's given actually a corner kick. I think the Aberdeen players may have felt that Miller was pushed in the back there, or Cooper rather was pushed in the back.
Well, Neil Cooper goes back to his position. Gordon Durie was the man who got the verdict on that occasion, and Joe McBride is going over in a leisurely fashion for the side behind. Remember, Jim Leighton has still not lost a goal in the Skol Cup this season. Now in course to Jordan Durie's shot. Well, dangerous things to say, obviously, as Gordon Durie stepped in. But Leighton's goal remains intact, and now it's Aberdeen who turn to the attack through Steve Gray. Kane's clearance falls for Stark. Back across the face of the goal. Collected by Chisholm. They had nowhere to go and had to give it to Willie Miller. Gray to Hewitt. Holding off Hunter. Oh, that's great play from Hewitt. Cross wasn't so accurate, but Hewitt showing his supreme confidence at the moment. Willie Miller could get the shot on target as Hunter tackled, and now it's McBride on the break. Durie has gone left. Cowan is on the far side. But the pace again has gone out of the Hibs attack, and Aberdeen have got men back again. Miller with his head to the ball, playing it on. Leighton had come out, but clearly he hadn't called. Well, his skipper knew he was coming. So Hibs had the corner. Fulton joining the attack for Hibs. Across by McBride, up goes Harris. It's won by Cooper. The only man up for Aberdeen is Hewitt. Cooper has joined him. And now Gray. A great chance for Aberdeen. Steve Gray. A tremendous tackle that by Gordon Hunter. Well, perhaps Steve Gray waited too long, but what a fine tackle it was.
Well, the two youngsters there. Young Aberdeen boy Gray must have thought he was going to get a goalie, but a superb tackle, recovery tackle by Hunter.
Corner kick, cleared by Harris. Back now with Gray. Fulton is there for Hibs. McKimmie to Hewitt. And McKimmie almost cut off the pass back by Kane. Cooper again winning it for Aberdeen in central defence. Willie Miller trying to get that beyond Snedden to use the pace of Hewitt. Well, this time the verdict goes to Hibs. Free kick. Taken quickly to Paul Kane. On the far side, Colin Harris. Durie at the far post. Leighton under a lot of pressure from Cowan, and no decision given by the referee either way, so this could have been dangerous for Leighton.
Since you made the point 5 minutes ago that Leighton hadn't lost a goal, he's been under severe pressure at times, hasn't he? Did well to recover on that one.
Chisholm met by Miller, but here's Joe McBride. Well, very anxious to have a shot at goal. Joe McBride coming in onto his right foot.
I mean, he's been keen to shoot this afternoon, young Joe. You know, he's had one or two efforts at goal. That one well over the bar.
So 10 minutes of the Skol Cup final left. Aberdeen leading by 3-0 and appearing to be in total control of the match, despite some courageous efforts by Hibs to get forward and at least snatch a consolation goal. Chisholm took up good position in the middle. He has Jury ahead, Cowan on the right touchline. Well, shooting from that range is unlikely to beat Jim Leighton. Unhappy time for Gordon Chisholm. He lost in the Milk Cup final for Sunderland against Norwich earlier in the year. Now on the losing side, I think, this afternoon again, the Skol Cup final in Scotland. Mitchell. Touch on by Gray. James from Fulton falls for Steve Gray. Good running by Stark. Was spotted by Monroe. Kane to Jury. Now McBride. Kane again, laying it back for Chisholm. Switching play now to the right. Colin Harris. Looking for Chisholm. He was closely marked by Willie Miller. Now Hewitt. Change of pace to get away from Snedden. And Gordon Hunter getting a bit heated with the challenge on Hewitt. Aberdeen have the free kick. No sign of Alec McLeish joining the attack this time. The Aberdeen supporters, you hear them chanting now in celebration. By no means premature, I'm sure, with a 3-goal lead and time fast running out. Here's Neil Cooper. Looking for Hewitt, but Hunter wins it. Has to concede the throw though, so Aberdeen can keep the pressure on. Steve Gray going across to the left. Simpson. It's for Mitchell. Leash retrieved that rather inaccurate pass. Leash again. Yes. Billy Stark. What a chance that was for Aberdeen. The opportunity still there for McKimmie. Well, I don't think Billy Stark could believe his luck. He had so much time and space when the ball came over.
Well, I think the ball was always just tantalisingly away from him as he raced in. We'll see it when the ball gets played in nice and early by McLeish. And he's there, and I think he thought the goalkeeper was getting it, but he did well actually to win it back and then lay it off there to McKimmie.
Another life for Hibs. Alan Ruff appeared to be caught in two minds there as the ball came forward. Jury is penalised for the challenge on Willie Miller. Miller taking his time about getting back into position. Doesn't fancy the free kick, that's for sure. Well, Miller is fit enough to continue with the chant of the Aberdeen supporters in his ears. There's only one Willie Miller. Hewitt is onside. Chance for Aberdeen's fourth. And great goalkeeping once again from Alan Ruff. There's also some good defending here from Ian Munro as he comes across.
I mean, it was a terrific run by Hewitt, got away, but, you know, had he squared it, young Gray was coming up level with him, and had he played the ball squared, he'd have tapped it in. But again, good goalkeeping by Alan Ruff. He's certainly not let the side down today, even though he's lost 3 goals. I think he's had an excellent game.
These lightning forays by Aberdeen still causing all sorts of trouble for the Hibs defence. Here's Stark. Men in red now racing forward to join the attack. Mitchell has Gray on his outside. Well-timed tackle that from Monroe. The linesman agrees with Ian Monroe. Well, Hibs captain Ian Monroe has also had a fine match in defence, despite watching his side being overrun from time to time. Dougal controlling the ball well, and in goes Monroe late. Aberdeen, or Hibs rather, will make a second substitution. The change is Joe McBride off and John Collins on. McBride has worked very hard for Hibs, and still treatment required for an Aberdeen player. So John Collins becomes the youngest player in the field. He's 17 years old. Very promising young player indeed. So the scoreline, Aberdeen 3, Hibernian 0, 2 from Eric Black, 1 from Billy Stark. The first two coming in the opening 12 minutes. And that's what's made it an occasion to savour for these Aberdeen supporters. The Hibs supporters also still waving their flags, giving tremendous support to their side, which has battled valiantly right from the start against the Scottish champions who are bang on form. There's Neil Simpson. Flag is up. Frustration for John Hewitt. There wasn't a lot in that decision. So 3 minutes of the match remaining. 3 minutes till Aberdeen are awarded the first domestic trophy of the new season. There's Gordon Chisholm. Now Hunter. Paul Kane. Harris. That came very late at Gordon Chisholm. He didn't think the ball would reach him. Couldn't direct his header goalwards. A fine play by Steve Gray. Good play by Gray, waiting to make certain that all his colleagues were onside, and Simpson's cross was angled wrong and goes straight to Ellenwood. Kane. No chance for young Collins. Back from Miller to McLeish to Leighton. The flags of red and white are waving away to our left as the Aberdeen supporters continue their singing and celebrating. Gray's header. Dougal couldn't control it, and it's now with Collins for Hibs. Obviously just to get some cup final experience. Here's Monroe. Now Hunter. Sidestepping start. Getting forward now for Hibs. Harris plays it wide to Snedden. It's Hunter again. Easily beaten though in the end by Simpson. Tremendous forcing play by Hunter. Free kick to Aberdeen. Tremendous din building up to our left as McDougall goes through the middle for Aberdeen. A chance for the fourth. A delicate chip, but just too high for Aberdeen. Now inside the final minute of the match, here was Frank McDougall with a chance to end that extra scoring bonus. Chipping it over Ellen Rough and over the crossbar. No luck for McDougall up front. Jury's header. Chisholm, forward pass blocked by McLeish. Simpson beaten by Chisholm. One for Jury to chase. Fine cross, just too high for Harris. Done behind by McKimmie. Hibs showing their courage to the end, winning a corner kick in the final minute of the match. Determined to make their own contribution to what has been a marvellous occasion. Up goes McLeish with Fulton. They're headed out by Stark. Paul Kane, there's Jury. Fulton. Touched away by Stark to Hewitt. Here's Willie Miller. Hewitt going free on the left, but Ian Munro going across for Hibs. Got a fine captain's role, has Ian Munro. And there goes the final whistle. Aberdeen are the winners. The Aberdeen supporters celebrate now in style. 3-0. Tremendous performance from the Scottish champions. Alec Ferguson goes out to greet his players. He's completed now his domestic set of medals. He had never won the League Cup before as Aberdeen manager, but now that omission has been corrected. Well, the full-time score, Aberdeen 3, Hibernian 0. The first goal from Eric Black early in the match, the second from Billy Stark in 12 minutes, and then midway through the second half, Eric Black made it 3-0. Eric Black, who was taken off because of injury, scorer of 2 goals. And the Aberdeen supporters celebrating what they hope, no doubt, will be the first of several triumphs this season. Alec Ferguson goes on to greet his players. Jim Leighton taking congratulations. Neil Cooper taking well-deserved compliments from his manager. The Hibs supporters are here pictured going to greet their supporters on the East Terracing. Well, that's a tremendous gesture from the Hibs players, and they're being warmly received by their fans. Well, that does credit to the Hibs supporters and to the Hibs players. We never gave up right from the start. The task was too much for them, though, after that opening burst from Aberdeen with 2 goals. And now the Aberdeen players salute their supporters. So a thoroughly convincing performance from Aberdeen. And let's have a word now from a former Aberdeen manager, the Manchester City manager, Billy McNeil, in the studio.
Billy, a pretty decisive victory at the end of the day, one would have to say.
Well, I think undoubtedly Aberdeen were so impressive, weren't they? They just would not accept defeat today, but they got their victory in a very commanding performance, and they played well, they created good chances, they scored good goals, and really at the end of the day I think Hibs can go back to Edinburgh satisfied that they did everything in their power to make it a cup final, but it was no hope for them after that early start, and Aberdeen in such commanding form. I don't think any team in the country would have stood up to them on today's performance.
Right, back to you, Jock, for the moment that all footballers dream about, the presentation of a cup to the winning side and the medals that go with it. Back to you, Jock.
Thank you, Arthur. Yes, Willie Miller leading the Aberdeen players now to collect the trophy. In fact, 2 trophies I think they'll collect. They're going to be presented any minute now. Alan Ruff clearly despondent. He was a winner in 1971 for Partick Thistle against Celtic in that memorable match when Thistle won by 4-1 against all the odds. Watching sadly with Joe McBride as Willie Miller leads the Aberdeen players up to collect the trophy. So Willie Miller takes the League Cup from Mrs Gillespie, the wife of the Scottish League President. The Skull Cup is also presented by Mr John Mackenzie, the Managing Director of the Alloa Brewery Company, and a contented smile on the face of Alec Ferguson. 2 trophies for Willie Miller to hold aloft. Now Jim Leighton comes forward as the medals are presented. Well, Aberdeen are certainly becoming accustomed to this sort of situation, but it's the first time under Alec Ferguson they've managed to do it. There's the League Cup and, of course, the Skull Cup. Ryan Mitchell gets his first major honour now as an Aberdeen player, forcing his way into the side this season. Alec McLeish, no stranger to these situations. Billy Stark, a relative newcomer to the Aberdeen side also, after his transfer from St Mirren for £70,000. Eric Black, the scorer of the first and the third goal. Stuart McKimmie going through, and there's a moment to remember for young Steve Gray, the Aberdeen number 12. Frank McDougall gets his first cup medal for Aberdeen. Peter Weir wasn't required this afternoon, but it must be tremendous to have a man like that available on the bench. And John Hewitt was perhaps the outstanding player in the opening burst in particular for Aberdeen, who set up both the first goals. So the Aberdeen players back in the field, the Skol Cup winners for 1985, the first domestic honour of the season. Aberdeen, who are leading the Premier League, heading for the last 8 in the European Cup, and now the winners of the Skol Cup, as the Hibs players now make their way forward to collect their losers' medals. You see disappointment in all these faces, but there's certainly nothing to be ashamed of. Made a tremendous contribution to the Skol Cup. Ian Munro going up for a losers' medal for the second time. He did so for Hibs in 1974 when they lost 6-3 to Celtic. Steve Cowan, a former Aberdeen player, goes through. Gordon Chisholm, Alan Ruff, young Gordon Hunter, 18 years old. So the Hibs players filing through to collect their losers' medals. Don't go away, we'll be right back again in a couple of minutes.
When something totally unexpected pops up, a Clydesdale Bank personal loan can make things easier.
Clydesdale Bank, there when you need us.
They're up and crunching soon as they're awake. Crispy Kellogg's Fruit and Fibre whole wheat flakes.
But what makes it really ace is the fruity, nutty taste.
It's what breakfast's all about, no mistake.
The whole wheat flakes are crunchy through and through. But Kellogg's Fruit and Fiber's really fruity too. Apples, hazelnuts, bananas, raisins, coconuts, sultanas. I think it's simply terrific. How about you?
Every Sunday morning, I observe the upwardly mobile inhabitants of Audley Court. Despite fiercely competitive careers, their domestic pursuits remain remarkably predictable. Yet there's something about the one who takes the Observer that's ambivalent, dichotomous, paradoxically iconoclastic even. Know what I mean?
Do something different every Sunday. Read The Observer.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the special taste test. Ready, Bob? Let's try pint A. Now for pint B.
Tenant special.
So, which is the Tenant Special, Bob? Pint B. Let's find out if you're right. You, Bob, have chosen the Tenant Special.
Tenant Special. We think you'll like it.
We're gonna miss our flight.
Don't worry. You'll catch your plane.
You missed one.
Better fly.
Over the last 2 years, everyone at British Airways has been trained in the art of putting people first. We seem to have taken it to heart. No wonder British Airways is the world's favorite airline.
Are you sure this is the B4525?
It's good to know that Shell's research into fuel and lubricants is working just as hard for you as it is for the McLaren Formula One team.
a one-way street.
What do you mean?
Well, great scenes of jubilation there at Hampden Park. Just time to get a quick comment from Billy McNeil before you have to leave us. John Hewitt looked as if he was getting the Man of the Match award there. Billy, would you go along with that?
Well, I don't think you could argue against it because it was his contribution in the early part that really sealed the victory and made it a stroll for Aberdeen really at the end of the day, I thought.
Hibs fought bravely, and I admired the way they hung,
yes.
hung on and just kept on going, you know. But at the end of the day, the day belonged to Aberdeen. I think.
They were irresistible today. I don't think anyone would have stopped them. And you know, Hibs can go home to Edinburgh with knowing that they gave their all.
Fine. Billy, thank you very much for being with us and safe journey back to Manchester. That's it. Aberdeen have won the Scotland League Cup. 2 goals, of course, from Eric Black. A brilliant performance, a magic performance by John Hewitt, the man of the match. Hibs fought all the way, but the day belongs to Aberdeen.